Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Education Unlocked. I'm your host, Shri, and I am so excited to welcome an awesome guest that we have here today. I'm going to let Amy start off by introducing herself and share some amazing insights about her background. Hey Amy, welcome to the podcast. It's so great to have you on here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to get to meet you and connect. Yeah, a little bit about me. I'm currently serving as the superintendent and principal of the Cold Spring School District. This is my 9th year at Cold Spring, and we are a single school district. And before that, I was in Santa Barbara Unified for 18 years, where I served as a teacher for 7 and a principal for 11 and assistant superintendent. And, so I've been in both large school districts and small school districts, leading great teams. And in my spare time, I get the opportunity to serve on the Small School Districts Association Board of Directors, as well as the Association of California School Administrators, where I lead California's AI task force. So lots of great opportunities to lead in the space of education.
That's amazing. And, starting back a little bit, what inspired you to enter education? Was there that driving force or something in your past that really just got you so excited about it when you first got into education?
Well, probably like many people, it's your teachers, right? I had an amazing kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Silvers. I loved her. I wanted to be just like her. I was the only girl in my class. And so I quickly had to learn how to hang out with the big boys. She was so gracious to me, and I just wanted to be like her. And then from there, it was really my first opportunity. Right out of college, I got a job at a brand new public education, brand new public school, the Santa Barbara Community Academy, teaching PE, and fell in love with the students. And that is where I knew teaching was my calling, and then launched into becoming a principal when I was 29, and then superintendent right before I turned 40.
That is amazing and a lot to be proud of as well, especially because, you entered education with a passion, and that passion really led you to leadership and to so much more beyond that. One thing that I guess, I'm curious about too, what are some of those moments that shaped you, into a leader that you felt, hey, this is why I want to be a principal. This is why I want to, be a superintendent.
I remember when I was a college student, my sophomore year, I was up at Westmont College, and I was taking a class that I was fortunate enough to be in the lowest performing school in Santa Barbara Unified, and with 100% English language learners, all Title I students. And I was in, I believe, a second grade classroom. That's where I was placed. And unfortunately, I saw a teacher that I didn't feel loved the students or what they wanted to do, and didn't have high expectations, but didn't also create that relationship experience that I had growing up. And I had both high expectations and relationship driven teachers. But I also went to a private school, and it was my first experience at a public elementary school. And I remember thinking, is this what public education is like?
Yeah.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
And wanting at that moment to say, that needs to change. And every kid should have a private school experience, not with a dollar associated with it, but that should be with public school dollars. And so that has been my commitment, and my personal mission statement is really to show what's possible in public education. And what I mean by that, to show that we can become, and we are, the very best in excellence when it comes to education, but most importantly, that relationship component that gets kids connected to school and wants them to continue to learn.
That's amazing and really well said as well, because, I think just even looking at your experience going from principal to superintendent and really seeing that, it's exciting to see. You're managing an entire district with so many students that are so excited and passionate about it. I know you briefly mentioned that you also joined that Access AI task force. Can you tell me a little bit about, what was, the driving force behind this? Was that something you joined recently? What was that like? And a lot of exciting things. So I'd love to get just, learn a little bit more about that too.
Yes, well, that came about through the Leadership Development Committee out of AXA. They brought the request to the board of directors where I serve on the board. And the request came with, we need an AI task force. From there, one of the board members nominated me to chair the AI task force, knowing that AI is a space where I'm striving to constantly learn and grow and support my colleagues along the way. And that is how I was nominated, and then I was elected to chair. And then from there, the board of directors said, we want you to create the best team possible to lead administrators across California in this space. And so that's exactly what I did. I searched the not only superintendents, but principals, directors of education. I don't care what your title is, but if you are leading in the space of I want you on our task force. And then industry leaders as well. We can't have them, we need them as partners because they're the experts in this space. And then our legislative advocates. So we have Capital Advisors, which is in a consortium with AXA and other organizations, and then AXA's legislative advocates. So our team is really dynamic and doing just great work, especially in the space of professional learning throughout the entire state. So tomorrow we have Tracy King and Brad Buxer out of Sage Oak Charter School. They are leading a professional learning at 10 a.m. from 10 to 11 for administrators across the state, and AI tools and what tools can support productivity with your administrative team. And so it's just been great to see the task force leaders rise, but also other people like Dr. Charles, which I know you know, who is doing great work out in Region 16, LA Unified, and the Tequity Institute that she's going to have on November 1st. That transpired from our AI summit that we had this summer in Montecito. So I lead with, there's plenty of room at the top. Let's get everyone to the top, and let's really try to strive to bring everyone forward in this space. So that's it in a nutshell.
I love that. And I feel like so much, has kind of come from even that, event. Well, I think it was in July, right? Since now, like you can see the difference that that has made for all these different regions across California, which is amazing. And I'm also like curious, you've done so much, how do you have all the time in the day to do this and have an amazing family? So tell me a little bit about different types of leadership principles that guide you as a superintendent or as a leader in general. What are some of those areas that you like to focus on and you like to think about? And maybe just even give advice to future principals, future administrative leaders, future superintendents that are rising as well.
I think for me, my core leadership principles start with clarity of purpose. And I mentioned that earlier. What is your personal mission? What drives you? What is your purpose? So it doesn't feel like a job, but it's a passion. And leading with that clarity of purpose in everything that you do. And for me, as I shared earlier, it's excellence in education. And I believe at Cold Spring School, 100% of our students can meet and exceed the standards. And because of that, right now we're at 95% across the board in ELA, math, and science. And let's get that last 5% there, right? And we continue to move because I know no parent wants their child to be in that 5%. And it saddens me when I look at our state average and we celebrate a 1% growth. That's not good enough. Mm-hmm. And so how do we do that? And we do that when we share best practices that are backed by research that are effective and work. And the more we can share those best practices to help other leaders and move their students forward, the better we'll be as a society and community. And so leading with clarity is so important. And then also leading with courage in these difficult times. My 9 years as a superintendent have not been easy. My very first year, we had the Montecito mudslides where two of my students were killed. And, leading in that space was challenging, and clarity needed to be at the forefront as well as community and that courage, like we can do this together. And then from that, we had COVID, right?
Mhm.
Re-entering schools. So that courage comes into play of moving my team in this space of we're all in this together, and it's best for kids if we open to in-person learning. We live in Santa Barbara. The weather is fantastic. And so we only closed for a few weeks and we opened to 5 days a week in-person learning. And because of that, we did not have any learning loss. But that wasn't easy. I took a
Yeah.
lot of criticism in the newspaper for opening. Some of my families didn't want to open, and we had 10% in remote learning at that time as well. That is courageous leadership in those times. And so it's not always going to be easy. That's my advice to, upcoming leaders in this space. But the last piece is you have to really rely upon your community as a network of support. And that is your teachers, your parents, your support staff, and then the larger community, which is organizations like SSDA and AXA that are here to support in those times of need as well. So I would say clarity, courage, and community.
I love that. And I feel like that really grounds, just like how you probably even think about some of those pillars that you're setting for your district. So, do you have any cultural pillars or areas that you want your district to really embody for your families and for your students as well? Could you share a little bit about that too?
Yeah, I think the first culture pillar is unconditional love and
Hmm.
acceptance for all, regardless if, a student comes to school dirty and maybe they haven't showered, right? We've all had those students, right? And those are the kids that need the most love and support. And sometimes those teachers that drive us crazy, that they're really needy, right? And just giving them love and say, this is what they need at this time. And then again, going back to high expectations for all. And the most important one is a sense of belonging.
Yep.
And this morning I was out in front greeting the students by name and greeting the parents as the kids were getting dropped off, making sure that they feel seen, that they feel valued, and that they know that they have several champions on a campus, not just me as their superintendent, but their teacher, our business office, the front office, the yard duty, and that we're really in this together. And so at Cold Spring, every child is known by their name. I know their birthday. On Friday, we
I
sing
love
happy
that.
birthday to those that have birthdays. I recognize their growth if they're reading and if their reading levels have exceeded, or math or whatever it is that they're really working on, just trying to name that. And I think that's what makes Cold Spring really special, because everyone is seen and everyone really has that sense of belonging.
I love that so much. And even just mentioning the fact that you're like greeting them as they're coming in the door, you don't see that a lot. And like it's amazing to have that personal touch where you're really bringing it in through so many different elements. The birthdays, I mean, that's a big one. I mean, that's huge for especially for, students who are seeing that and saying, "Hey, it's my birthday." Everyone knows that now, and it's exciting for me to come into school, which is amazing. And then I guess another, kind of question I have for you too is what has it been like balancing some of those school traditions that you've been adding in there and also managing innovation at the district? And we all know, you're a champion for innovation, especially, you've seen through AI and like the task force and all of those different areas. But how do you kind of manage that sometimes with both sides, as part of your leadership as well?
Right. In leadership, you want to make sure that you're honoring the traditions that have been in place. Like Cold Spring, we have our fall festival. We
Hmm.
have that every year, long before I was here, for decades. And it is a tradition that parents put together and they really rally behind. And, we have a sixth grade musical that is like they do every year. Last year, they did High School Musical, which every student
Oh, that's
participates
amazing.
in. Yeah, right. And keeping those, I think, are super important. But then, like you said, innovation and always striving to be better than you were yesterday is so important. And especially as we continue to learn and grow, and AI is, of course, one of those spaces. And I think the balance in that is what practices in education are we doing that are effective? Well, the relationship component is so important. Our teachers need that time to connect to make sure that their students are heard and seen. And also, some kids just need some personal one-on-one support. But I think the innovation piece on AI can really support the personalized learning piece of it. And so students then have adaptive learning, they're working at their level, and that really frees up the time so teachers can do what they do best, and that's meet with students and inspire students to be at their best as well. So it's a balance, right? It's not one or the other, but in everything that we do, but in order to be forward thinking, and you have to be able to balance that tradition and innovation.
I love that. And, I always love to kind of share and talk a little bit about some of those reflections or, areas of advice that you have as well, not just for educators, but I think in general for everyone. And so, what is kind of that one thing that grounds you and gives you that sense of calm, maybe at the end of a very stressful week or the end of a very stressful day? Is there something that, you just go to and you're like, okay, this is my peace and this is where I want to be after that busy and stressful day?
I come from Northern California. What gives me joy as a kid was cross country running through
Okay.
the redwood forest, and also my faith as well. And so I think the two of those combined together, running is my outlet. I run every morning. It gives me a time to really reflect and spend time with God, and really, most importantly, stay grounded in this beautiful world that we live in and away from screens, really connect with the fresh air and nature. And that's what keeps me grounded.
I love that. And you know what? You live in one of the most beautiful places. So it's amazing to have that experience and also really enjoy it too. And then I guess one of the other questions I want to talk to you a little bit about too is what, just gives you hope, right? I know this is kind of tied into that, but what is that thing that just makes you so excited about the work you do and the impact you're making that you're excited to come in and to be here every single day? What is that thing, or maybe one or two things that gives you that hope as well?
My students give me hope each and every day because they're so kind and caring and loving. And that to me is so important, is that they understand what it means to give back to the world and not be egocentric and all about them. And if we can continue to foster those skills in our students when they're younger, then we'll have a more loving, understanding, and collaborative world where we're here to support each other instead of tear each other down. And so, nothing breaks my heart when I see a student be unkind to another student. And I always share, we always make mistakes, but we learn from those mistakes, my love. They agree from that space. And again, I'm so proud of my kids because I think, and my teachers for instilling
Yeah.
those traits in our students.
I love that so much. And, this is kind of a fun question I like to always end with, which is if you, really had to do kind of one vacation at the end of the year that you could go to, and you're going to have an amazing end of the year. It's going to be a really busy school year, I'm sure. But what would be that one location or vacation that you would want to go to in a spot that's on your bucket list?
Well, I think a spot's on my bucket list and it's on my daughter's bucket
Oh,
list. And we're gonna hit it because she's gonna graduate a year early from college. And so
okay.
if you do, I'll take you to wherever you want to go in the world.
Okay.
And she wants to go to Greece. So we are gonna go this summer. We both have
Okay.
never been. A mommy-daughter trip to Greece. So I'm super excited to learn about the culture, just to experience the history that is there as well. So that is on our bucket list.
I love that so much. And you know what? The reason I asked that is I selfishly want to know everyone's bucket list so I can plan some trips too. So, that's kind of my little intention there, but it's amazing to see that. You guys are going to be amazing. And once again, I want to thank Amy for sharing some amazing insight. I'm just amazed how you do it all and, bring so much energy and passion into what you do, which is so important, especially in the space of education where we're working with so many amazing students every single day. So once again, I really want to thank you, Amy, for joining me today and for sharing some amazing stories and inspiration for everyone too.
Thank you so much for sharing all the good work that's happening throughout the state and nation and just spreading the joy. I think we need to hear those positive stories. So thank you for being a bright light.